Subscribe to my channel for more real-life stories that hit deep. I didn't laugh that night. Everyone else did. Our friends, our neighbors, even the principal of our son's school. They all thought it was just a funny little moment on stage. But I sat there in the middle of the gym bleachers frozen, forcing a smile while my stomach twisted into a knot. Because that joke wasn't a joke at all. It was a confession wrapped in laughter. It was the annual school talent show. My wife Sarah had signed up for the parent segment, saying she wanted to do a light-hearted stand-up routine to make the kids laugh. She'd always had a natural charm, witty, quick with words, able to make any room relax just by talking. I was proud of her for that. But that night something felt different. She was anxious, pacing back and forth, avoiding my eyes. When I asked if she was all right, she simply said, "You'll see. It's going to be great," flashing me a smile that didn't reach her eyes. When her name was called, she walked confidently to the center of the stage, adjusted the mic, and started with harmless jokes about married life, laundry piles, dish duty, and bedtime routines. Everyone laughed. I even chuckled a little. Then her tone shifted. "You ever have one of those marriages where your husband doesn't even notice when you get a new haircut?" she said, pacing like a professional comedian. "Or when you start hitting the gym again? Not because you want to be healthy, but because your trainer's compliments actually sound sincere?" The audience laughed. So did I weakly. Then she said it. "Yeah, my trainer Ben is amazing. Always tells me I'm doing great. Unlike my husband, who only notices when the Wi-Fi's down or the fridge is empty." The gym roared with laughter. People clapped. But my ears were ringing. My face burned. Ben. I knew that name. She'd mentioned him before. Her new personal trainer. Strict but encouraging, she'd said. I remembered her coming home late on Thursdays, cheeks flushed, hair damp. She'd said they started evening sessions. I never questioned it. I trusted her. But she kept going. "You know, sometimes when you're married long enough, you start confusing comfort with love," she said softly. "And sometimes it takes a stranger to remind you you're still alive." The crowd chuckled again, though this time it was uneasy, like some of them realized this joke had teeth. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to get up, walk to that stage, and pull her away. But I didn't move. I just sat there staring, feeling my whole world tilt. She ended her set with a few closing jokes, smiled wide, and bowed to thunderous applause. Everyone thought it was comedy, but to me it was betrayal served with a laugh track. When we got home, silence filled the air. She kicked off her shoes, dropped her purse on the counter, and said almost cheerfully, "Well, that went better than I expected." "Better?" I managed, my voice shaking. "You humiliated me. You told everyone." "Relax, Mark," she interrupted. "It was just a joke." "A joke?" I stepped closer. "You said his name, Sarah. You joked about feeling alive with another man. Do you even hear yourself?" She stared at me for a long moment, face blank, then said quietly, "Maybe you should have heard me before tonight." That one sentence hit harder than anything else. I understood instantly. The late nights, the distance, how she'd stopped reaching for me in bed. She'd been trying to tell me she was unhappy, and I hadn't listened. I was too busy with work, deadlines, pretending our life was fine. But none of that justified what she did. That night I walked out. No jacket, no words. I sat in my car for hours, her voice replaying in my head. "Sometimes it takes a stranger to remind you you're still alive." The next few days were brutal. Everyone in town was talking about Sarah's hilarious performance. People sent me clips, tagged her online, calling her funniest mom ever. Each time I saw it, my chest tightened. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd turned my pain into a public show. I didn't confront Ben. I didn't have to. 2 days later, she broke down in the kitchen, crying. "It wasn't serious," she said. "It was a mistake. I was lonely. You were distant. He made me feel seen." "Do you love him?" I asked. She hesitated, long enough for me to know. A week later we separated. Quietly. No shouting, no broken dishes. Just silence and the slow collapse of what once was. I didn't tell anyone the truth. I let them think we just drifted apart. She'd already taken my dignity. I wouldn't hand it to her again. But I did something else. Something small. Something honest. 3 months later, the school sent an email asking for parent volunteers for the next talent show. They needed someone to manage video production. I signed up. When the night arrived, I stood behind the camera, filming parents sing, dance, and act their hearts out. Laughter echoed through the gym again, but I felt nothing. Just calm, detached. At the end of the show, the organizers played a highlight reel of last year's performances, the one I had edited. People laughed at all the familiar moments, the singing dads, the clumsy moms, the silly skits. And then Sarah appeared on screen, mic in hand, smiling, saying her now famous line, "Sometimes it takes a stranger to remind you you're still alive." The crowd laughed again, but this time I'd added something new. Right after her line, the video cut to a black slide that read, "Sometimes it takes the truth to remind you who you really are." Then the reel faded out. The crowd clapped unaware. But I saw her sitting near the back. The second the words appeared, she froze. Our eyes met across the room. And for the first time since that night, she looked ashamed. I didn't stay for the rest of the show. I quietly slipped out, walked to my car, and sat in the same spot I'd been in months before. Only this time I wasn't trembling. I just breathed. She had turned my pain into a joke, but I had turned it back into truth. And for the first time in months, that truth didn't hurt. Felt like freedom.